President Trump has not named a formal successor to the MAGA movement, publicly praising both Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio while fostering friendly competition between them. Vance, widely seen as the favorite for 2028, has built strong ties with Trump and key MAGA figures, taking on high-profile political and fundraising roles that could bolster a future campaign. Rubio, once a rival of Trump, has become one of his closest advisors and national security leaders, earning MAGA support by aligning with core issues such as immigration enforcement. Both men deny any rivalry and work closely together on foreign policy, with Trump continuing to consult them regularly while avoiding committing to a successor. Trump's reluctance stems from wanting contenders to earn the role, maintaining political leverage, and not contemplating the end of his own political career, despite looming 2028 speculation. President Trump is increasing political control over private companies and agencies, resembling China's state capitalism, where the state influences nominally private enterprise. Examples include demanding Intel CEO resign, requiring NVIDIA and AMD to share 15% of certain China chip sales with Washington, securing a golden share in U.S. Steel, and pledging to direct $1.5 trillion in foreign investments. Unlike past temporary interventions, Biden's and Trump's policies mark a more permanent structural influence over clean energy, semiconductors, and critical minerals. Critics warn state capitalism causes inefficiency, waste, and cronyism, as seen in China's slowdown and U.S. failures like Foxconn's Wisconsin factory. Trump's moves also serve political aims, using economic levers to reward allies and punish opponents, raising doubts if U.S. democratic checks can limit the shift from free market capitalism. President Trump called for Intel CEO Lip Bu Tan to resign, underscoring his strong commitment to holding corporate leaders accountable to U.S. economic interests and national security. He has actively pushed companies in autos, pharmaceuticals, and other sectors to invest more heavily in domestic production through executive orders, tariff incentives, and direct public engagement. Supporters view this approach as a necessary step to ensure businesses prioritize American jobs, manufacturing, and innovation rather than focusing primarily on foreign markets. Trump's leadership style reflects a belief that presidential influence can positively shape corporate decisions and protect American interests without requiring government ownership stakes. The Intel case sends a clear message to CEOs that aligning with his pro-America agenda is essential, encouraging corporate strategies that strengthen the U.S. economy and maintain competitiveness in his second term. President Trump has directed the Pentagon to prepare military options, including special forces operations and intelligence support, to target Latin American drug cartels. His administration has designated certain cartels as foreign terrorist organizations, arguing that they pose a national security threat comparable to global adversaries. Trump pressed Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum to allow deeper U.S. military involvement, but she insisted U.S. forces would not operate in Mexican territory. U.S. and Mexican officials are negotiating an agreement focused on intelligence sharing and coordinated enforcement against the cartels. The CIA and military have increased surveillance and covert operations, signaling a major policy shift to treat cartels as insurgent threats rather than mere criminal groups. President Trump now has a key opportunity to reshape the Federal Reserve with the unexpected early resignation of Governor Adriana Kogler, allowing him to nominate an ally who supports his call for interest rate cuts. This vacancy could let Trump install a future Fed chair, strengthening his influence over monetary policy and potentially reducing the Fed's resistance to pro-growth strategies. Top contenders like Kevin Hassett and Kevin Warsh align with Trump's economic vision, with Hassett considered a loyal and confirmable candidate to replace Powell. Trump is strategically leveraging this appointment, even consulting media allies and former advisors to ensure the nominee fits his policy direction and reinforces market confidence. By acting decisively, Trump is asserting leadership over economic policy, creating the possibility of a more responsive and growth-oriented Federal Reserve during his administration. President Trump's tariff policy has generated an impressive $72 billion in new federal revenue, achieving this without triggering the economic chaos many critics had predicted. Contrary to warnings of runaway inflation and product shortages, consumer prices have risen only moderately, and Americans are still finding shelves well stocked. Trump's approach has already contributed to a narrowing of the trade deficit, which in June reached its lowest level since September 2023, an early indicator of shifting trade dynamics. Several U.S. manufacturers are beginning to benefit from increased orders as businesses adjust to avoid tariffs and consider reshoring production, validating Trump's focus on revitalizing domestic industry. Although some long-term effects remain to be seen, Trump's bold and strategic use of tariffs is delivering tangible economic benefits and strengthening America's position in global trade. President Trump has repeatedly declared national emergencies during his second term, using them to bypass Congress and implement policies unilaterally. These declarations have led to numerous legal challenges, questioning both the legitimacy of the emergencies and the extent of presidential power. A key case now before a federal appeals court concerns Trump's use of tariffs under emergency powers, with potential implications for broad presidential authority over the economy. While some courts have upheld Trump's actions, others have ruled against him, including on immigration and tariff-related decisions. The debate centers on whether long-term issues like trade deficits can legally be classified as emergencies and how much discretion courts should give the president. China is ramping up efforts to build a self-reliant AI ecosystem independent of US technologies, responding to American export controls and tech restrictions. At an AI conference in Shanghai, Chinese firms showcased models optimized for local chips, while Beijing proposed global AI governance centered on open source access. Initiatives like Project Spare Tire aim for 70% semiconductor self-sufficiency by 2028, with Huawei boosting chip performance through clustering. China is heavily investing in AI infrastructure, education, and power, with over 600 universities offering AI degrees and $564 billion allocated to grid projects through 2030. While the US still leads in top AI models, China's open source approach is gaining traction, with some domestic models now outperforming US counterparts in specific benchmarks. NVIDIA and AMD CEOs publicly supported President Trump's new AI action plan, which aims to reduce regulatory barriers and enhance US technology exports. The plan includes streamlining data center development and ensuring energy access, both crucial for powering advanced AI chips. Trump emphasized American leadership in AI and reversed export restrictions on NVIDIA's AI chips to China after lobbying by CEO Jensen Huang. AMD CEO Lisa Su praised the administration's initiative, highlighting its potential to accelerate US dominance in AI technology globally. The administration also plans to help allies adopt US AI tech to reduce reliance on China, using financial tools like the Export-Import Bank. The Federal Reserve is split into three camps over when to resume rate cuts. Some want to cut now, others prefer to wait for more data, and a third group insists on seeing clear economic weakness first. President Trump has ramped up political pressure on the Fed, criticizing renovation costs and demanding rate cuts, intensifying the internal debate. Cautious officials are open to cuts later but want 2 more months of inflation and labor data before deciding, as the economy still shows resilience. Fed Governors Waller and Baumann made dissent this week, arguing delays could hurt the labor market, though most officials favor holding steady for now. With inflation risks still present, especially from tariffs, many Fed members prefer a careful, data-driven approach despite outside pressure. President Trump skillfully uses surprise tactics in public meetings to gain strategic advantages and keep counterparts honest and responsive. His bold, unscripted approach, like presenting documents to Fed Chair Powell or showing impactful media to foreign leaders, injects urgency and authenticity into high-level discussions. By exposing behind-the-scenes dynamics to the public, Trump promotes transparency and ensures accountability from powerful officials. These methods often force world leaders to reveal their true positions, helping Trump negotiate from a position of strength and influence global narratives. As a result, foreign leaders and political figures are adapting to Trump's dynamic leadership style, recognizing the effectiveness of his direct and unconventional diplomacy. xAI, Elon Musk's AI startup, is seeking up to $12 billion through a complex private credit deal to purchase NVIDIA chips for a second-large data center, Colossus II, to train its chatbot Grok. The company is working with Valor Equity Partners, a Musk-aligned firm, to raise the funds by borrowing from private lenders and using chip leases as collateral. To fund its rapid growth, xAI has already raised $10 billion, taken a $2 billion investment from SpaceX, and pledged Grok's intellectual property as debt collateral. xAI is burning through cash, projected at $13 billion in 2025, and faces financial strain due to the high cost of self-funding AI infrastructure without support from cloud giants. Lenders are cautious due to the declining value of AI chips and the risk of xAI defaulting, despite Musk's history of engineering success and deep investor support. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement is rapidly expanding migrant detention capacity using tent-like structures, following a major funding increase through a $45 billion GOP-backed spending bill. The Trump administration aims to increase bed space from 40,000 to 100,000 by year-end, with a focus on large tent facilities located on military bases and ICE jail sites. Critics, including some officials and civil rights groups, have raised concerns about the safety and accountability of temporary tents, especially in disaster-prone areas. Florida has already opened a tent facility called Alligator Alcatraz, and discussions are underway with other Republican-led states to follow suit. Despite internet dissent and past reports criticizing tent use as inefficient, the administration continues prioritizing visible, large-scale camps to accelerate deportations and shift political responsibility to states.